I'm going to call this video Taking Decisions or Making Decisions, Major Decisions. This is a Beni-chidori, and Beni-chidori is the one that has a very light red color, not like the Deshojo. It's a light red and it stays red for 2 months and then turns completely green. So this is today the 12th of July, so we're right in the middle of the summer. So what was red in April stayed red for April and May, so June and July it has turned green. And this shoot has grown in the last 2 months. Can you believe? In 2 months I've got a shoot over a meter long. All these were grown in the last 2 months. So you can imagine how vigorous this tree is. Also I grow these in these baskets. These are some of the trade secrets I'm giving away. I give away a lot of trade secrets. I grow them in these baskets because the roots get a lot of air, so they grow extremely well. And look at the way the roots are coming through the bottom. Look at it, they come through the bottom and go into the gravel. So these trees grown in this way produce really strong growth, and I'm going to show you how I am faced with a very, very major dilemma with this tree. This, let me explain, is the parent tree for many air layerings. It was grown in the field for about maybe 15-20 years, and then it was dug up about 5 years ago and put in this box. And the roots have gone through the box and into the gravel in this back greenhouse. And I've taken endless air layerings. In fact, only the other day, I cut this off, and I can show you what, that was only 2 days ago. I will show you that this was an air layering I made last September, and it has only a few roots, but enough to sustain the tree. So this branch was taken off from here because I didn't see the point of keeping that branch. So I've already produced 1 air layering from this. And over the years, I must have had about 10 air layerings from this tree. You can see the top there. That was the source of another tree. I will show you that tree on another occasion. But what I'm faced with now is what to do with this tree. If you look at this tree, let me turn it around, and then you can guess which is the proper front or the preferred front. It is a very tricky tree, very, very difficult tree. If we home in on the base as well, concentrate on this. Now, we usually determine the front or the back of the tree by the way the roots go into the soil. If we look at it from various sides, this is not bad. This is also not bad. But if you look at the tree like this is very straight here, and then it gives a little bend there. This is getting a bit thick, and this was where I may have accidentally hit it with an axe or a spade, so I took the bark off, so it caused a bit of distressing here, but it could become the feature of the tree. If I didn't want to, I can plant it deep in the pot and create the nebari from here, and then create a short tree from this part. So there's so many possibilities. If I airlay the tree here, I can still get a very stumpy maple with the bottom part. So there's that option straight away. Now, if I look at the tree this way, can you see the bend is very nice here? So this is a possible front as well. If I use this as the front, I can use this as the leader. Let me just bring you a plastic bag and show you what I mean. Now let us do the famous Pretty Chan's bag trick. So if I were to do my bag trick, that means keep the tree short and make this the leader. I would get this very beautiful curve here, and that will become the leader, and we will hang the branches from here. So that is one possibility, because this trunk line is going to be very, very handsome, very pretty. If I were to use the entire length of the tree, from here to there, it is very, very straight. Although it is impressive as a big tree, it is too straight to be interesting as a bonsai. So I'm not inclined to use this as the front, however much it may appear to be attractive. The other possibility too is to use this as the front. There's so many possible fronts. Now if I were to use this as the front, I can't even get my bag in because other little branches in the way, but you can just imagine what I'm trying to do. So that is what I'm trying to do. Make a short tree with this as the base. This root is quite nice there, and it's got the bend here and there, and this is going to be a short bonsai. So that is possible as well. And then I can aerate the tree. I don't want to waste it, so I can aerate the top. So that is one possibility. Now this side is a bit straight, although it hides the scar. Not so interesting, and that is very straight. Because Beni-chidori is such a vigorous species, if you let it go in the field, they just shoot up straight. So using this as a leader or this as a leader, these are my two preferred options. So what I do, I haven't decided yet, but I will decide sometime. I don't think this is an interesting option. That could also be a leader, but I don't think somehow it may be interesting. So the choice is between this one as a leader, in which case I will keep this and then chop it there and make another bonsai from here, aerate from this way all the way up. Or if I use this as the leader, I can air layer the top and make an interesting tree using this as the leader. So, although I can take quick decisions, I'm faced with so many dilemmas. What to do? Either use the entire length and produce a large tree, but not that interesting. It would be interesting in the spring when it has color, but nothing else. And then the choice is making this the front, using this as the leader, and using this as the leader. Very, very difficult decision. Very difficult decision. If I use this as the leader, that scar gives it a slight inverse taper here. So they may not be so nice looking from here. Looking from here may be more interesting. There's a nice short stumpy tree and air layer the top. Or the other thing would be to just sell it as it is to someone for them to take the decision. But you're looking at quite a lot of money even for a tree this size without doing further work. If I didn't want to do much, I can just trim the tree back. In fact, let me do it just for the heck of it. I don't want it to go that long. Many people would just trim it into a conical and say, there you are, you have a bonsai. But I don't think, in all honesty, I would have the conscience to sell it as a bonsai like that. At least I keep it tidy, because if I leave it unchecked, I will run out of space in this big back greenhouse. This also should be cut off. So I'm sure many people would give the right arm for a tree like this. That's a big bonsai. There's still the option, you know, to use the whole thing to make a big bonsai. But this is very ugly. This is ugly. That is not interesting at all. And this side is not interesting because of this defect here. That really is like an inverse taper. So what do I do? I think the preferred option is here, using this as the leader and producing the bonsai like so. So that is going to be the let's see. Yeah, we want to hide the scar. The scar is not doing the tree justice. It's making it look odd. I may leave it another year or just do a bit of air layering there to get a thick trunk from that. But it's nice to have these different options. Because you have the option, life becomes more interesting. I'm still wondering what to do. I know that this will callus eventually. You've got to give it about 10 years. This was callus and the bark would heal over. You won't see it, but it would still make an inverse taper. So the other option is to create the bonsai from here. If you aerate from here, yeah, that's another idea I didn't consider. If we aerate from here, send the roots out from here, you would get quite an interesting bonsai like this with a low branch, and then make that. So that would be another option. So you can see there are so many options we have. So there you go. I may well do that. That means create an air layering here. So why don't I do that since I've decided? So as I say, if my advice to people is to bite the bullet, I should practice what I preach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an air layering right in front of your very eyes. So when I do an air layering to remove the bark, because the bark is quite thick, I'm going to remove the bark by partly cutting with the saw. I can bet you anything that within a year I will get roots. In fact, I will watch the progression. You never know. By the autumn even, it could send out a few roots. In case you think I'm chopping the tree off, I'm not. I'm just removing the bark. Because a kitchen knife wouldn't be strong enough to do it. Now I'll have to probably use a chisel. Give me a second. So to remove the bark, because this is an old tree, I'm going to use a bit of the chisel. People who are fairly new to bonsai and have never made an air layering, they often wonder how deep to take the bark off. If you remove too much and remove the cambium, this air layering will die. If you don't remove enough, it will not root. Unfortunately, I can't explain in detail. The cambium is almost a transparent layer that you mustn't remove. You just remove the bark. If the bark comes off, that's fine. Normally with a pen knife or little kitchen paring knife, you will be able to remove the bark. But because this is such an aged tree, I'm removing the bark with this chisel. I love doing experiments. because of my scientific or engineering background, experiments excite me. Let's try something and see what happens. You never know. This is how inventions are created. So bonsai is about experimentation. It's an adventure in so many senses of the word. Okay, now that we've done it, the roots will come from the top part, so I'm just going to score it a little bit. Scoring, this is a little trick I was taught by an apple grower. If you score the bark, it encourages roots to come out from where you scored it. So this is a little trick that not many people will tell you about. Another important trade secret I'm giving away. Why am I giving away so many trade secrets? I'm a fool, maybe. Or am I not? So I've scored the bark, and I'm going to apply the hormone rooting powder. Right, I'm now going to show you how I apply it. I apply it with a wet brush. This is hormone rooting powder, or IBA powder, indolyl butyric acid. I usually wet the brush. If the brush is wet, it tends to stick better. You can use any sort of brush, paint brush or whatever. In fact, I will try and see if I can spray it. Just to wet the surface, just to make the hormone powder stick. Certain species like maples, jumbas, hornbeams, you don't need to use hormone rooting powder, because they're so vigorous they will root anyway. But if you want to be absolutely safe and sure, then use it by all means. It will quicken the process too. And hormone rooting powder, the powder part is just talcum powder, and it's what they call the medium for transmission. The IBA, the indolyl butyric acid, can also be used in liquid form. The active ingredient is the IBA or the IBA acid. So the powder is just a medium for conveying that acid, in case you didn't know. So that is plenty powder there. And now I'm going to get a plastic bag. My favorite material are these akadama bags, because it's the right consistency of plastic, not too thick, not too thin, and because it's transparent, when the roots emerge, I can see the roots. There are all sorts of ways you can do it. As I said, when I grew up in India, I used to see the gardeners there use these jute or hessian sacks, and they just put mud on it. But here I will just use this. So essentially what I'm going to do is to make a cup-like device. Make a cup which will hold all the moss. You just got to improvise. If the trunk is thick, you will need a bigger piece of plastic. This, you see, I've used the entire length of the bag, which is about, I would say, nearly 80 centimeter long bag. Okay, so I've made this cup-like thing. And I'm going to tie it up. I think Josh is almost like a theatre nurse, you know, handing the tools to the surgeon. He knows what I need. I usually prefer to use wire. You can use string if you wish. You can use anything. As I say, another of my famous sayings, there is no right and a wrong way. There's just a different way. Everyone can do it in their own preferred way. You can devise little methods. And now this is the famous sphagnum moss. I still buy it from New Zealand, but I was told that very soon the New Zealand government is not going to allow this to be exported, so I'm going to be in a bit of a difficulty. I know in my local ponds behind the nursery in the Teemill Lake, there is the stuff growing. I could ask the owner of the pond to let me collect it, because sometimes the moss gets in the way and becomes a nuisance. Like my pondweed, that becomes a nuisance. By the way, I can always use pondweed. Anything which is organic and a soft, airy medium can be used. So I find the sphagnum moss is special, but as I said, you can use anything. In the tropical countries, because they have so much rain, they use just ordinary clay and mud, nothing sophisticated. And within a couple of weeks, they get trees to root. I remember seeing these gardeners grow these mango trees from air layerings, or guti as they call it. My Indian viewers will understand what guti means. Air layering. So that's a nice big bag. And I'm going to continue growing it in here. So now, because I want to keep these lower branches, you notice I didn't cut this off because I'm going to get like a twin trunk or multi-trunk tree from it. So I'm keeping these low branches because this is going to be an invaluable part of the tree design. And people ask, do you have to water it? You can water it if you wish to, but plastic being impervious doesn't let the moisture escape. So if the moss is wet to begin with, that is all you need. So I've got a big ball of moss. Now look at it. You can already see the future design of the tree. If the tree is going to start from here, this is going to be the bonsai. Much more in proportion with the rest of the tree. And I'm just going to tidy up some of these little branches to give you a better view or insight as to what the future is going to look like. I've got a ready-made tree, so I think in the end I have made the right decision. I know that like in life you have many decisions to make, and you can take one decision, take another decision. Sometimes it proves to be good, sometimes bad. But no matter, it is a decision that you eventually took. So now this branch is probably going in the wrong direction. Let me take that off. I want to keep as much foliage as possible because it's going to draw the sap up and give the tree vigor. And that is what is going to cause the root action to develop as well. So these are all the little tricks we use. I don't have to remove too much off. And there you see the future shape of the tree. Let me put the bag again. So if you take a view, this is what the future bonsai is going to look like. Getting away from that ugly distress on the bark. There was a slight inverse, and the base is going to make a nice short, stumpy little bonsai with a thick trunk and only that tall. So I will get eventually 2 beautiful bonsai from this. So this is a very major decision I was able to take, and I'm happy with that. I'm very happy with that. And I hope you've enjoyed this video.